And this is the key defining match coming up now of this show. It's the WCW.
For the wrong reasons.
All the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They cut to a little shot as well of Sturgis, downtown Sturgis.
It just seems like the town is too small for all of this.
It does.
Choose a bit. Go to I don't know, Kansas City or
Imagine
something.
if that's where you grew up. Your family had lived there, and you're how old? You'd be 76 if you were born in the 20s prior to this stupid thing starting. And you're 76. You're just trying to get your little Hyundai through the road because you've got to go to the chemist to get medicine for your wife. Looks like you got a Japanese car. Fucking hell. They cut to a shot of that, and it did look like one of those shots where you almost are expecting someone to go, you can see the assault happening in the top left corner. That sort of thing. It just looked like footage of when a stabbing had occurred. I thought it was horrible. WCW Tag Team Champions Harlem Heat with Colonel Parker and Sister Sherry versus the Steiners. Now,
this are great Twitch streamers.
This does get a big reaction.
Yeah.
Wrestling's all about reactions, baby. I mean, the bikers really have no interest in anything in particular for the whole show until two black men come out. And that gets them very interested.
Yeah, they weren't as into Ice Train, but these guys...
No.
Maybe because there's two of them. I don't know.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that they are the champions. Maybe it's that they do recognise them and they do follow a little bit of wrestling. Ice Train, when he came out, I noticed as he came out, he really talks to the camera the entire time he's walking down that dirt path that leads to the ring. And I found myself thinking, is he talking to the camera because he's getting himself over, or is he doing it because it's like, I then don't have to look to the sides?
Yeah.
And I get the vibe of what this place is. So if I just keep myself to myself, I'll be fine. Yeah. Well, very quickly, Booker T clearly hears something that he doesn't like, because even though we're following Robert Parker and Sherry as they walk to the ring, Booker has doubled back and he's talking to someone in the crowd. And I say talking, he's staring at them and he looks angry. So something is going on. Now, there is reports, obviously, that there was lots of racial abuse hurled. And I suppose there's a difficult thing, and it's inexcusable. And I don't think, anyone's going to say, oh, well, that's just the way it is. But there is that thing where you sort of go, do they know to some degree that this is the bikers, a wrestling show, and therefore their unacceptable behaviour is fine because everyone's playing a role and is in on the joke? I mean, I'm doing too much thinking on behalf of them. These people wear swastikas.
Either way that they're... well, I guess, what do? Do you just not have black performers, which is obviously not the right decision? Or what do? Just don't do it with a lot of fucking racist hicks.
That's
probably the decision
the second one.
Yeah.
Now, it has always been reported that this is racial. You don't hear anything, and I couldn't see anything racial, being said, if you like, when I'm lip reading. Now,
they're not signs guys.
They don't care. No. But the reaction to them is so extreme that, you have to accept that probably was going on.
Yeah. Thank you for not answering our question. Did he dance around that? Yeah, well, why did we ask it? Shame on us for asking the question we knew would have no answer. Tony, don't press Dusty. Uh-oh. Say it, they're at the fans here. Yeah,
I was thinking to myself, it is that thing of you can't just say, oh, they were all racist, and Harlem Heat were reacting. Maybe Harlem Heat were just, doing a really good job. And as I was thinking, well, maybe you've got to give the benefit of the doubt. The camera chooses a shot of the crowd, and it pans up from the back of a motorbike, and it starts on the back of the seat, which is an iron cross. The Medal of Valor that was awarded in World War II by the German Army and World War I. So I looked at that and I thought, oh, well, case closed.
You've made a decision there,
I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and do you know what? I shouldn't have done. The crowd are very, very vocal. Booker is beginning to get involved. There are loads of men just standing on their bikes, just going, come on, fucking come on. There's a feeling of football hooliganism in the late 70s about watching that crowd, about watching the performers who can't approach them and them just wanting nothing more than to get their hands on the people who they know.
What I like about it is
fat men saying to Booker T, come on, and it's like, oh, please do them one at a time.
I mean, that's right. Pound for pound, they could do 80% of the people in that crowd, and they would pound them. I looked at this and I thought, I feel for Booker here because he's obviously he's on the wrong end of something absolutely abhorrent, and yet he has to be a pro about it. And I did think,
think, this is the most disgusting wrestling crowd in history. You can't say that through the whole show, but in this match, it doesn't get any worse than this. No. It really doesn't.
Well, I mean, they don't normally throw cans and bottles and rocks things, so in any other match. So.
And what there is as well is, I think, you do see occasionally, and there was quite a recent one with MJF, where someone had a sign at ringside that said, hey, MJF, I dropped a quarter, and it was pointing down. And what that seemed like, to me, that seemed like anti-Semitism. That was because he is a famous Jewish performer.
Right.
And the idea was going, he dropped a quarter, so
he's going to go
MJF is going to go and run over and pick it up. Now, those people were, either the sign was taken, but there was a massive social media backlash against them. And I should imagine AEW are like, okay, well, if we know who they are, we probably won't be having them back. The problem with here is there doesn't seem to be any control. It's a field. There's no tickets. The men have just come.
What are you going to do?
Get 55-year-old Doug Dellinger, the head of security, to wade in there and go, right, you go at the back. There's nothing you can do. And it's a really frightening sort of image. Now, the Steiners have never been more over as a result.
No, the Steiners
giving that proxy beating for a load of impotent, grizzled old bastards who, sitting on their big hogs, with their fat asses and the smell of farts and fucking warm beer and carbon monoxide. And I mean, the Steiners, they look at this and go, well, it's an opportunity to get a bit of a pop.
Yeah.
Let's really throw everyone around as much as we can. I mean, there's a bit, Booker goes out the ring quite early on, and instead of being like, oh, my head, oh no, that hurt, he is just staring at someone in the front row, which suggests that he can hear certain things coming from a place, and he just simply isn't going to allow that to pass without comment. I've never been a huge fan of Harlem Heat. I found them herky-jerky in the way that they worked, and I don't think many of their matches I found particularly compelling either then or now. But I did watch this match, and it did give me a lot more respect for Booker T and Stevie Ray than I had, because I felt myself thinking, you guys have been through something, there that is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, but it's the sort of thing that they would have seen in house shows in certain parts of, they've had a bit of a career before this point, and it would go on.
Yeah.
They will hear those words
and imagine
throughout their lifetime.
Imagine what it was like going back out and just going, we are in literally a town full of people who, at best, find our sheer existence aggravating, right? That's the best case scenario. Yeah. And I mean, I hope they got the fuck out of there pretty fucking quickly.
What I mean. It's like,
I hope they were stuck into a big limo and driven wherever they wanted to go immediately.
It seemed like a big kind of party for a lot of the roster, because they had so many people at this thing. And you do sort of go, well, they can't go out for a fucking drink, can they?
Of course not. And
Sherry can go out with her lovely power suit on.
Yeah, it's a beautiful suit.
It's a beautiful backless power
Colonel
suit.
Robert Parker can certainly go out.
Yeah, he'll be celebrated.
Yeah, Jesus
He won't have to buy a drink, but
that bit where
dynamic.
they drive.
It's an ugly dynamic.
It really is.
Thing.
It really is. And do you know what? Does it encourage that sort of atmosphere?
Yeah, probably, It's all right to be fucking abhorrent in this place, because there's a dynamic here that we're presenting that is unpalatable at the best of times.
Yeah,
so there we go.
Absolutely that. And look, when they showed them going from Milwaukee on the WCW stars who are going into Sturgis, every single person is a white American. It's Big Boss Man, it's Paul Orndorff, it's Medusa, it's Eric Bischoff, it's the Steiners. You don't have any of the performers of colour or any of the performers of Asian heritage, taking part in that.
Because Sonny Ono was already there because you got a Honda. Yeah. It's really quick and efficient. Cool.
Yeah. It's fast and it does really good miles per gallon.
It's just really
unlike
smart
a Harley.
Move.
But my dad actually, he had what was a sort of midlife crisis that only really showed itself up in that when he was probably 50 odd, and I was about 14, 13, he seriously wanted to get a Harley.
Right.
He was an accountant for a firm of constructing engineers in Ealing, and he decided what he needed to deal with the 40-minute journey to work was a proper Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
And we used to go to a shop in Ealing, and every time we go in there, I thought it would be the coolest thing in the world to have my dad having a Harley. Imagine. And every time we go into that shop, my dad would get through the door and he'd look anxious, and he'd little beads of sweat would break out of his head. And what he knew was he just knew he was going mad. I remember he sort of said to the man when the man was coming around, going, "So what do you what's your history with the old drum?" And my dad went, "In 1958, I had a Vespa." And the guy was like, "Oh, cool, old school." And my dad was like, now I'm here. That was it. And
just give me the bite. Stop talking to me.
It is just, a weird thing to be in. It's a weird thing to be in.
There's no reason. Let's make my drive more difficult, and I might die.
I would love to be knocked off this and die. Wow.
And if I want to be knocked off it, I want the weight of the Harley to crush my ribs.
This unsafe vehicle costs more than my house. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, baby. I'm being dragged along.
And now it's been stolen.
But you get in America those big lads.
Yeah.
And, if we put this on YouTube, there'll be some cunt with one going, well, actually.
Your dated view. Your dated fucking view.
Those big old, and they're almost like, I think sometimes they have two wheels at the back.
Yeah.
So they're like big fucking
mobility scooters.
Mobility scooters, but they go 90 miles an hour. And they've got big speakers. And they just got lots of baggage. And it's not even a bike anymore.
Look at you. Look at you and your noisy fucking thing with your noisy fucking music. Yeah.
Well, I'll have you know, Mark, when I was on holiday in Japan, I came home to find that my Vespa copy Wang Yi 125T Chinese scooter had been stolen. And so I am no longer an owner of a hog, except I am, because 2 days later I walked on the corner and the thieves had either got bored or been unable to start it with a screwdriver. And so now I have a scooter that doesn't start because they've attacked it with a screwdriver, and it's just in front of my house. So
wonderful,
it's good
news.
stuff. So one less.
Sell it to my dad.
It's atrocious.
This has an end, which is actually very good in recap, but at the time it looks like it's gone all horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Where Booker is in the corner holding Scott Steiner, and Robert Fuller throws powder into his face.
Yeah.
Robert Fuller and Colonel Parker, same guy. He was a wrestler. And throws powder into the face, and Scott Steiner ducks, and it all goes into Booker T's face.
Oh, no.
But then Sherry, who's also on the apron, has a backup plan, throws the powder into Scott Steiner's face. He didn't duck that one, and Robert Parker hits him with the cane, and Booker pins him. And I thought it was a good creative pin. It worked well in recap. It did not quite so well as when it happened.
No, it was a bit chaotic.
Bit of a mess, but yeah. But when they do the slowdown replay, you went, oh, actually, all those 4 people played their role to perfection.
Perfectly,
yeah. Really, really nice.
They've had races. They've had Top Gun competition. They've had concerts.
Look over here on the left of your screen. What? That's that motorcycle.
How about that motorcycle? And to cap off this Sturgis Rally, World Championship Wrestling in town.
And you know something?
Big event.
The bikers here have been dynamite. Great people.
We said that earlier.
Well, they told me that. They gave me a trophy. Speaking of Bobby, there's a hot air balloon up there. Huh?